Internet! Well, you know what time it is. It is Tarkir Dragonstorm release day. And we got a couple fun bundles here pre-ordered that I wanted to go ahead and open up with you guys. You can see we have 50 packs of Tarkir Dragonstorm, 5 golden packs, a fun little promo or mythic here, and this nice little Elspeth artwork here. So, I think it's going to be a pretty fun day. Everybody's been anticipating Tarkir Dragonstorm. I think lots of people remember Dragons of Tarkir, Khans of Tarkir, Fate Reforged, that whole block very, very fondly. It's hard not to think back of those days as being just very, very fun in Standard. Of course, that was the introduction of the fetched lands, which today play a pivotal role in every single format of Magic the Gathering, except for, I guess, Pauper, because you can't have them there. But otherwise, those fetch lands have just been a staple. Wherever you can play them, you play them. I don't care if it's a 1 of in Commander or 4 of when you can do it in Legacy, Standard, wherever you can do them. So we are going to go ahead and open these up and just see what we get. Let's find out how much good stuff we get today. All right, let's go ahead and claim. Of course, beautiful Elspeth Stormslayer. I'm sure everybody's getting the same stuff here today, but let's go ahead and read it. For a 5 mana, mono white, Elspeth Stormslayer for, let's see, if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. That's a very nice static ability. For +1, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, which with the static ability is actually 2. Pretty cool. For a 0, you go ahead and put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain flying instead till the end of turn. For 0. Wow, okay. And then for a -3, you can destroy target creature an opponent controls with mana value 3 or greater. Jeez. That's a strong Planeswalker, and that's just everyone's going to have it. So the power creep is real. I've been looking at these Standard cards, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm almost afraid to play in the current queue in the meta right now, because it's just going to be haymaker after haymaker, just such strong cards. I don't even know how these are going to affect some of the other formats, because some of these dragons are pretty wild, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But it's going to be a fun time. I'm sure we all know what to expect from Ugin. That's a wild 7-drop commander, and I'm sure it's a matter of time before that guy is not allowed in Brawl amongst other formats. But I guess we'll wait and see here. So let's just go ahead and get everything going here. Yeah, let's get started. Let's go to our packs. Yeah, let's take our time a little bit here. Okay, here we go. First pack is going to be yes, I was actually hoping to get the Just Guy, guys. All right, let's see what. Oh, okay, had a bit of a glitch there. You might notice a weird transition for a last split second there. Okay, anyways, we got Taigam, Master Opportunist. Let's see, 2-drop, 2/2, legendary creature, human monk with flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it, and then exile the spell you cast with 4 time counters on it. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. Pretty useful card here. Nice early 2-drop for blue to be able to get some tempo in the long run too. I'm thinking this is going to be overlooked initially because everyone's just focused on dragons, myself included. But we'll see. There's just a lot of power creep in the set, and there's going to be, I mean, this is going to mix really well with some other decks we already have going here. Okay, next is up. Oh yeah. Alright, Zurgo. No longer the Bell Striker. Zurgo is now just straight Mardu colors with Mobilize 2. So whenever this creature attacks, you create 2 tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens, and then you sacrifice him at the next end step. He is a 2/4, and during your end step, warrior tokens you control have this token can't be sacrificed. So that works pretty well with his ability. You see what they did there. A little bit of power creep again. Of course, you remove Zurgo, and they're going to go ahead and get sacrificed anyway. But yeah, Zurgo, moving up in the world again. No longer just the little haster. Although, I got to say, Zurgo Bellstriker did have more play than, what was it, Zurgo Helm Smasher? The big boy Zurgo that came in with First Strike and Haste or something like that. I always thought he was a cool card, but nobody played him. But Bell Striker got in every aggro deck there was. Okay. I guess we're going to just do 10, because this is wild. Oh, it's fun, isn't it? I'm sure all of you guys got your pre-pack bundles as well. Alright, Felithar, Dawn of the Abzan. Abzan was always a staple in Tarkir. Let's see, Trample. Whenever Felithar enters or attacks, you may sacrifice a non-land permanent, and when you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Well, that's pretty strong. Of course, we get to see some recursion here, or some sort of token sacrifice. Kotis, the Fangkeeper in Sultai. Indestructible 2/1 with whenever Kotis deals combat damage to a player, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the amount of damage dealt. You may cast any number of spells with mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana cost. So yeah, that's pretty wild as well. Stillness in Motion is a 2-drop enchantment in blue with at the beginning of your upkeep, mill 3 cards. Then if your library has no cards in it, exile this enchantment and put 5 cards from your graveyard on top of your library in any order. So blue gets a Doomsday. So that's going to be pretty fun. I'm sure we're going to see the likes of LSV or Saffron Olive do some really fun things with this card. So I can't wait to see those videos. Okay, we have Barren Step Siege in black and white. We have as this enchantment enters, choose Abzan or Mardu. And if you pick Abzan, at the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And then if you pick Mardu, at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice. That's pretty darn strong with Mardu. Yeah, I remember at first when Tarkir block first came out, Abzan was really, really big on the +1/+1 counters, right? It had all the creatures with like Outlast. Remember, you could tap them with the mana cost and they'd get a +1/+1 counter. It had to do it as a sorcery though. And then they would also sometimes have effects for having those +1/+1 counters, like Abzan Falconer, right? Gave everything flying, or the other one gave everything first strike and whatnot. A couple of them even would just create tokens as you put +1/+1 counters on your creatures. So that was really in line with the mechanic of Outlast, right? It was all about literally outlasting your opponent. But that didn't seem to be the case in practice with Abzan. Abzan became really big control and mid-range with things like Siege Rhino, Thoughtseize, and Abzan Charm just doing work as a removal or draw cards. So rarely did you see Abzan Charm put the +1/+1 counters on a creature. It almost always was an exile or a draw card effect. So we'll see. I guess they're still pushing the whole +1/+1 counter thing. Good old Mythic. I'll always take one of those. We have a Winter Night Stories, a 3 mana sorcery. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard a creature card with Harmonize. Harmonize is pretty fun. I'm sure you guys have been looking at all this stuff already, but you may cast this card from your graveyard for the same cost there. And you may tap a creature you control to reduce that cost by X, where X is that creature's power. So that's a really, really cool way to be able to get this going and get some real value here. Almost like a mini Delve, or actually I guess a Convoke mixed with, maybe not Delve, maybe Flashback mixed with Convoke. Okay, we have Magmatic Hellkite. This guy, I'm actually looking forward to throwing this guy in almost any dragon deck now. When he enters, you get to destroy a non-basic land an opponent controls. And they can search for a basic land card, but they put it into play with a stun counter. So it's removing their fancy lands, and it's holding them back a turn. And plus, you get a 4/5 flyer, and this is only 4 mana. So this is tempo with evasion and a 4/5 body for 4 mana. This is arguably cheap enough to throw in your aggro decks. So this one right here is definitely going to see play, I would say. Windcrag Siege in Boros color. As this enchantment enters, choose Mardu or Jeskai. Again, I guess, yeah, these are the new sieges. At the beginning, okay, so for Mardu, if a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Very, very, very strong. Just imagine this with like Winota. For Jeskai, at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. It gains lifelink and haste until the end of turn. Yeah, that Mardu effect is clearly the winner here, which is nice. I was a very, very big Mardu fan And Mardu just never really took off in the original Tarkir block. I really tried to find a way to do it, but you could not compete with blue. It was just, not having blue in your deck was just impossible. But yeah, so I'm happy to see anything with Mardu going up here. All right, Corey Steel Cutter, 2-drop artifact. In equipped creature gets +1/+1, has trample and haste. That's always nice. Equipment is to equip it is 2 though. With Flurry, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess, and you may attach this to that. That's pretty nice. Okay, I guess so. You're getting the 1/1 white monk with prowess, and it will have trample and haste. So this is a lot stronger than I thought initially. Not seeing that Flurry. Yeah, pretty cool. And then we have good old Narset in Jeskai colors. At the beginning of your end step, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of spells you've cast this turn. And, pretty interesting. I'm sure some people are going to find a way to get that busted. Let me see if I got any goodies here that I was really looking forward to. Oh, there you go. Yeah, this Tarkir set is probably going to be the most fun limited set I will have played in a long time, because there are just bombs in this set. When you're just gonna do limited, right, you're just gonna open up something, you're gonna, even this, right, just an uncommon, these things are just gonna just take over the game, let alone like the Abzan 10/10 that deals damage or whatever when it enters a field. Some crazy strong cards here. All right, let's get another 10 out of the way here. Ah, that's so fun. All right, let's go ahead and start. Oh, we got a mythic. All right, let's go here. Thunder of Unity, Mardu colors. You draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. I like that. Whenever a creature you control enters this turn, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Okay, not the strongest effect on the 2 and 3, but hey, I like the draw 2, lose 2. A little bit of Abzan charm right there. Fang Keeper's Familiar in Sultai with Flash. Good old Flash Snakes seems to be the most often Sultai creatures with the Flash. When this creature enters, choose one. You gain 3 life. You gain 3 life and surveil 3. You can destroy target enchantment, or you can counter target creature spell. I do love versatility, and it's a body. 3/3. I mean, not too bad. Yeah, this is pretty nice. I think the gain 3, surveil 3, and the counter target creature spell, it'll be a toss-up which one of those gets used more often. But yeah, versatility, very nice. Not to mention, you can throw this in as a blocker, right, to ambush, which is kind of the whole ambush viper theme we're getting here. And yeah, I like it. Oh, we got one of the lands here. Great Ashran City. This is the conditional lands. I don't know what people are calling these yet. You know, shock lands and whatnot. This one, I just think of it as conditional because you need to have a forest or plains for it to come into play untapped. And you get to exile a creature card from graveyard, and you make a 1/1 white spirit creature token. Not too bad. Oh, we got another one of these guys. Okay. Rediscover the Way in Jeskai. Let's see here. We look at the top 3 cards of our library. We put one of them into our hand and the rest in the bottom of our library in any order. Sure. And then we get to do that 2 turns in a row. And then the last mode is whenever you cast a non-creature spell this turn, target creature you control gains double strike until the end of turn. Yeah, good old tempo Jeskai. Yeah, this just, yeah. Mantis Rider and the like. Love these kind of cards. Another Narset. Yeah, we're starting to get the doubles. Okay, we got the blue version here. This one is whenever you... Okay, so the next spell you cast this turn can't be countered. I think this is going to be huge in Commander. Just being able to have an uncounterable commander. You know, all of a sudden, everybody's a Thrun or whatever you're casting. It just can't be countered. This gives you another, you know, aside from the other, like, Cavern of Souls and whatnot. And this doesn't have to be pre-named, and it works on any spell. I mean, obviously it adds a tax of 2 mana to anything you want, but to be able to know that the next spell you're casting can't be countered, and this can be done on your opponent's turn, this is huge. You can have a massive Sphinx's Revelation. You can do a lot. I think this is going to be huge in Brawl and Commander, so I'm definitely throwing that in any deck I can. Sidisi, 2-drop we have sacrifice a creature you control with mana value X other than Sidisi, and then you return target creature card with mana value X +1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. You activate that as a sorcery. Yeah, these are always strong. Anything that's, you know, sacrifice and you get X +1, always being able to just grow and grow and grow. So this is going to be a pretty good card. Flamehold Grappler in Jeskai, first strike 3/3. When this creature enters, copy the next spell you cast this turn when you cast it, and you may choose new targets for the copy. You know, if it had flash, this would be amazing. Still, 3/3 first striker for 3 is still okay. You're probably going to play this turn, what, 4/5? So you're probably never casting more than another 2-drop with this if you're trying to be in a Jeskai tempo deck. Still has some potential. And our Mythic... Okay, speaking of some bombs, can you imagine opening this in Limited? Sure, it's an 8-drop, but whoa, 10/10. Ureni, the Song Unending, a legendary spirit dragon. Really cool artwork as well. So, flying, protection from white, protection from black. That's huge. Those are my favorite 2 colors to have pro from because it just dodges so much just unconditional removal, right? And when Ureni enters, it deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers your opponents control, where X is the number of lands you control. And I'm willing to wager you're going to have a good chunk of lands when you're casting an 8-drop. So this is like Dragon Lord Atarka on freaking steroids, because it's also a 10/10 with protection from white and black. Just wild. So yeah. I could just see this. I mean, you're going to deal at the very least 6 damage, because even if you have a couple Mana Rocks in or some Elves or whatnot, you're dealing damage here. So this is going to be super nice to open. Really happy with that one. All right, let's open another 10. We're almost here. I wanted to start playing. All right, okay, we got 2 Mythics over here. Can't wait. Songcrafter Mage. Okay, fantastic. We have Flash 3/2. When this creature enters, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains Harmonize until the end of turn. Its Harmonize cost is equal to its mana cost, right? Harmonize pretty much flashback with tapping a creature with a discount. Pretty nice. I like it. Dragonfire Blade, 1-drop. And anything like this, I just think of Ugin immediately without even reading the card. I just think, oh, good. 1 mana, exile a permanent of your opponent. Just going to be crazy with Ugin. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has hexproof from monocolored. Okay. Yeah, that dodges a lot of this solid removal, actually. And you equip it for 4. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each color of the creature it targets. Sure, okay. Inevitable Defeat in Mardu. With instant, it can't be countered. Always nice to see that. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life. Okay, this is pretty strong. I mean, it's strictly Mardu colors, so I was just thinking, okay, this is just an upgraded Utter End. Of course, Utter End was only white-black. This one you need to have red, but it's not... you can't be countered. It's basically a Void Rend with a Siege Rhino. So, yeah, that's pretty nice. United Battlefront, 4 mana, sorcery, and white. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to 2 non-creature, non-land permanent cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. And put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Is this collected company at sorcery speed? Wow. Okay, yeah, it's a sorcery, obviously, but that's pretty dang strong here. Oh, non-creature, sorry. Okay, so this is collected company mixed with dig through time. Yeah, sorry, I misread that. Non-creature. Still pretty interesting. 4 mana, sorcery. Maybe not as impactful as I was initially. My brain was ticking on this one. But that's still pretty nice. Some serious card advantage for white, to be honest with you. Especially if you're running like Orzhov, black-white. Boros, actually. This is probably pretty big for Boros to be able to get some card advantage here. Yeah, okay. Maelstrom of the Spirit Dragon, very good. Pretty much every, this is going to be a staple, right? Colorless, or it could be 1 mana of any color for a dragon spell or an omen spell. And then you can sack this land and you search for a dragon card and then you put it in your hand. So, very nice. Yes, we'll always take those. Another Zergo. Okay, the new way forward. Okay, let's see here. An instant in Jeskai. The next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. And then when damage is prevented this way, New Way Forward deals that much damage to that source's controller, and you draw that many cards. Okay, so we have Deflecting Palm on steroids. So Deflecting Palm was basically the first half of that effect, and it was only white and red, and I used to love that card. It was such a good way to get around some really big shenanigans that way. But to be able to prevent it, deal that damage, and then draw that many cards is pretty huge. Yeah, it's going to be a really good time with this card. Oh, here we are. Dracogenesis. 8-drop enchantment in red, and you may cast dragon spells without paying their mana cost. So, Dragon Omniscience. Just, you know what you can do with this card. I'm afraid to see this card with Tiamat. You know, so we'll see what happens there. It's going to be pretty crazy. And another Urani. Okay, so another mythic rare. But we'll take it. All right. Yes, keep it coming, keep it coming. Oh, look at that. We got 4 rares here, or mythics. All right, Sidisi again. Okay, here's a new one. Eshki Dragonclaw in Teamer. We have Vigilance, Trample, and Ward 1. Nice. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've cast both a creature spell and a non-creature spell this turn, draw a card and put 2 +1/+1 counters on Eshki Dragonclaw. Pretty nice. I guess Teamer is really trying to stick with the non-dragon themes. A lot of their things are like this, but hey, that's some serious value. And they're going to need to. People are so focused on the dragons that you're going to need to bring it when you're talking about like a human warrior to be able to keep up with those guys. Glacier Wood Siege in Simic with an enchantment of Teamer or Sultai. So if you choose Teamer, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, target player mills 4 cards. Oh boy, milling. And then if you pick Sultai, you may play land cards from your graveyard right off the bat. You figure this is going to be Sultai. But you never know. I don't know how prominent mill's going to be. Instant or sorcery, I mean, that's not too bad. In Simic, I don't know. You know, you don't normally associate mill with green, but maybe we'll start seeing Sultai mill. Warden of the Grove. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Nice. Whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X, where X is the number of counters on this creature, and endure is you put X1/1 counters on this creature and create an XX white spirit creature token. So that's some good value. Hydras, you know, hail Hydras, right? Pretty nice. Elspeth. We got another Elspeth. Yeah, solid Planeswalker there. Let's start opening the mythics. Let's just do these two. Dragonologist. 3-drop in blue. We have when this creature enters, look at the top 6 cards of your library, and you may reveal an instant sorcery or dragon card from among them and put it in your hand, and then you put the rest in random order. And then untapped dragons you control have hexproof. That's huge at the end there. To be able to give everything hexproof, untapped is wild, especially if you mix this with things with vigilance. Just all of a sudden everything's a Dragon Lord Ojutai. So that's going to be pretty difficult to deal with. Tursa Light Shatter, 3-drop, legendary creature, Orc Wizard. That is some really cool artwork. He has haste as a 3/3 for 3 mana, so right off the bat, that's pretty solid. And whenever Tursa Light Shatter enters, discard up to 2 cards, and then draw that many cards. Whenever Tursa Light Shatter attacks, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, exile a card at random from your graveyard, and you may play that card this turn. That's pretty huge. The fact that it says play and not cast lets you go ahead and play a land if that's what you need to do. This is just a great card for aggro. 3/3 with haste is just right off the bat going to be solid. The fact that you can rummage into new action is very nice. Yeah, solid card. Let's see what we got here for mythics. Tival. Okay, another Spirit Dragon in Sultai. Flying, lifelink, 6/6. Spells you cast have Delve. Well, that's pretty good. And then whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. Okay. Okay. Of course, we have lifelink, so obviously we're going to start gaining that back. But just everything you have, having Delve is pretty wild. Oh, we have another one here. This Beator, Kin to All in Abzan. This is the 5/7 flyer. At the beginning of your end step, if creatures you control have a total of 10 toughness or greater, draw a card. If they have 20 toughness or greater, untap each creature you control. And if they have 40 toughness or greater, each opponent loses half their life rounded up. Yeah, I'm not sure how likely that's going to happen. Pretty cool effect either way. Getting to 10 toughness isn't going to be very hard since this is a 5/7. So you're likely going to be drawing cards, which is great in Abzan colors. And a mythic wild card. Yes, yes, always yes. Let's go ahead and just open these now. Okay. We have Meringue, River Regent. These are great cards here. Yeah, this guy was really solid. This is going to be fantastic and limited as well. A flying 6/7. When this creature enters, return up to 2 other target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. Or for the instant or the omen, you can just draw 3 cards and discard a card. Both sides of this are very solid. Yeah, that's going to be a great card. Glacierwood Siege, another Simic Siege. We already got that one. Stadium Headliner for 1 mana. We have a Mobilize 1. Mobilize is whenever this creature attacks, you create the tapped and attacking 1/1 red creature token, then sack it at the end of turn. And you can sacrifice this creature for 2 mana, and it deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature. Pretty interesting versatility here. If this had haste, it would be phenomenal. But Mobilize 1 isn't too bad. We'll see if it's quick enough to take on the rest of the format. Frostcliff Siege is the Jeskai or Teamer version. Yeah, so if you pick Jeskai, whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. That's almost always what everyone's going to pick. And then Teamer gives you +1 and have trample and haste. Actually, that's pretty good too. I do like static haste effects. We already got this one right here, the Abzan or Mardu. Still thinking Mardu is going to be stronger there. Let's see our mythics. Call of the Spirit Dragons. All right, so I'm sure you've seen this one. Dragons you control have indestructible. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, for each color, put a +1/+1 counter on a dragon you control of that color. If you put a +1/+1 counters on 5 dragons this way, you win the game. This is going to be crazy. I don't know what's going to happen in Commander and Brawl because of these cards right here. Death Begets Life. 8-drop in Sultai. Sorcery, destroy all creatures and enchantments, and then you draw a card for each permanent destroyed this way. That's a mega wipe. I think we'll see. 8-drop super wipe is pretty interesting. Reloading your hand's pretty nice. Definitely going to be memorable when you cast this card. And then we have Mox Jasper. A little bit of power, right? So for 0 mana, we have a pseudo power Mox here of add 1 mana of any color, but you can only activate it if you control a dragon. Of course, my first thought was shapeshifters, but not many shapeshifter decks out there that need a Mox. Okay, and let's just go ahead and do the golden packs. Yeah. Spinner of Souls, Anthem of Champions, Wingard Siege. Oh, here we go. Look at this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black. Doomsday Excruciator. Flying. When this creature enters, if it was cast, each player exiles all but the bottom 6 cards of the library face down. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card. So, Doomsday on a demon. That's going to be a pretty fun card. Laughing Jasper Flint. Yep. I'll burn out Bashtronaut, a 1 mana 1/1 with Menace. Obviously, we've seen this from the last set. Oh yeah, good stuff here. Another Eshki. Another Magmatic Hellkite. There we go, getting our Magmatics in. Okay. Lacid Prowler, 4 dropping green. When this creature enters, you may mill cards equal to the number of lands you control, and then you can renew, exile this card from your graveyard and put X +1/+1 counters on target creature, where X is the number of land cards in your graveyard. Interesting. Okay, yeah, good old guys here. Let's see. Gitrog, Ravenous Ride. Nice. Whenever the Gitrog deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice a creature that's saddled this turn. If you do, draw X cards and put Up to X land cards from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, where X is a sacrificed creature's power. Yes. Okay. You can tell I don't have every card in the sets. Revival of the Ancestors in Abzan as a saga. Create 3 1/1 white spirit creature tokens. Then distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control. And then creatures you control gain trample and lifelink until the end of turn. Pretty nice. Okay. Good old Betor. Bristly Bill. Worldwalker Helm. If you would create 1 or more artifact tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional map token. Okay. Mox Jasper again. Call again. The infamous Cruel Claw in Rakdos. A Weasel Mercenary, of course. Menace 1/1 whenever the infamous Cruel Claw deals combat damage to a player. Exile card from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by discarding a card rather than paying its mana cost. That's pretty useful right there. We have Final Showdown. I love the spree cards, the versatility in this. I usually just like that first mode right there anyways. But, of course, being able to just do it all and have a board wipe if you need it is also huge. And Molten Duplication, our last card. So, 2-drop in red. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste until the end of turn, then you sack it at the next end step. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I'm pretty excited to be able to just jump into this set. I think everyone's going to have a really good time here. Yeah, next time you see me, we're going to be in Brawl. And we're going to be throwing some of these new cards into Brawl and just see what kind of mayhem everyone's doing. It's going to be wild. So sit tight and let's see what happens next. All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, elevate your game.